Different sales team structures for you to consider for your B2B company. Hey, I'm Kevin Downey from Kevin M. Downey, where our industry-leading recruiting team, marketing, and screening processes deliver top-performing sales and business development to our clients at the lowest cost possible. Today's topic, thanks for being here today. By the way, today's topic, we're going to talk about different sales team structures for you to consider for your B2B company. And what I mean by that is with and without dedicated business development representatives, and then different things that you can task your business development representatives with doing for your sales team. Okay, so let's dig in and talk about different sales team structures. And the easiest one to consider is your sales reps doing their own prospecting, right? And they can do it two different ways. We can go old school, boots on the ground if it's local targeting and it makes sense, right? Where they're literally going within, business, office developments or industrial complexes, and they're literally going door to door and prospecting that way, right? Or more commonly is going to be using the phone, right? They're going to be doing, even if they're going to set up face-to-face appointments for themselves, right? They're doing a combination of phone, voice with voicemail, and we'll dig into that a little bit in a bit, but also maybe a little email, a little bit of LinkedIn, okay? So that is the first thing, right? Sales reps doing their own prospecting, right? Now, does that always make sense? And especially today where sales salaries keep increasing, getting a hold of prospects of decision makers keeps getting harder and harder for reps, right? And does it make sense for sales reps to do their own prospecting? Well, that depends upon your business. It depends on, what are their salaries, what's the value of a customer, what's annual value of a customer, lifetime value, and are those sales reps going to have long-term relationships with that customer base, or are they just getting paper and then handing off the customer to someone else in the company, who's doing it, the deliverable, customer service, customer support, client support thing, or somebody else within the company is doing all the deliverable, and the sales rep really doesn't have any long-term relationship with the customer. I think that's all different things to consider there, right? Whether or not you can withstand the time that it's going to take for the sales rep to get to ROI? That's a very easy question for a lot of companies, right? To think about it that way. For enterprise companies, they can withstand 150,000 base salaries, and the reps taking 12 months, 24 months to get to ROI. I've heard of even longer. In small business and smaller mid-market companies, certainly that's not the case, right? Or very rarely the case. So when it's not the case, okay, what do we look at then? Okay, so, we can look at commission-only reps. We can look at, all kinds of different strategies, lower base, higher commission rate, and have the reps do their own prospecting. But another way to do it more common is reducing sales team structure or sales team size, the actual sales reps, and increasing outbound email volume, as well as dedicated business development representatives doing the cold outreach to identify decision makers, generate leads, or even generate appointments for said sales team, right? So now your salespeople are engaged with buyers, whether even if they just get the name, and I'm going to dig into that in a minute, but whether they have just the name of the decision maker at the companies they're targeting, right? So that they're not having to fish for that. They're not having to do research. The business development rep got them that information, right? Or they could be getting, leads, people, decision maker with a pain point, or even scheduled appointments. But whatever it is, and we're going to go back to those in a minute, advantages and disadvantages, we want the sales reps to be as scheduled with prospects as possible. So we want them dealing with their customers if they've got the long ongoing relationship with the customer base. But then we also want them engaged with prospects as much of the day as possible. So we don't want to waste any time because they're just too expensive these days, right? Again, we're talking about base salaries, even in the low end for sales reps at 75. For remote, maybe 60, 65, but typically 75, 90, 100, 125, even 150,000 now. We're talking about a lot of money per month, right? We're talking $6,000 to $12,000 a month in base compensation, that's a lot of money to pay for a sales professional to be sitting there doing cold outreach and fishing for who the decision maker is. I mean, that's a long process and it's time consuming. And a lot of reps don't even want to do it anymore. So think about reducing the total number of sales representatives and make them as scheduled as possible with prospects and decision makers. And of course, then they may have their customers to deal with. And then putting together email and dedicated business development reps to do all the hard legwork on the front end, right? So before we finish up, what are the different things that a business development team can do, right? So for some sales reps and sales teams, we might have business development just identify decision maker, right? Especially if they're going after enterprise, right? All the legwork that goes into that. You've got departments with 25, 50, 100 people or more, and you've got to try to find the right decision maker, right? Have your business development team, you can have them just identify decision maker, do the legwork, do the research, do that initial contact stuff to go through all of that headache to find the decision maker and deliver that to sales. So now they just know one person they've got to talk to at the company. So that would be like level 1. Level 2 would be generating leads, right? So identifying decision maker with a pain point. So now your business development reps are doing the cold outreach to identify the decision maker, and then they're also identifying whether or not they've got enough pain point, right, to be worth a call from sales, right? Or to get a call with sales. And maybe not scheduled, but handing off a lead, right, to sales. That's just common lead generation, right? And then level 3 would be appointment setting. So your business development team doing cold outreach, identifying decision maker and pain point, and getting them to the point where they will schedule a call. They can schedule a call with the sales team. So now your sales team is fully scheduled with prospects, right? So depending on the level and where you want to take that is really how you determine your ratio of business development to sales, right? Because a lot of times we might need multiple business development reps to keep one salesperson fully booked every day. So let's say we want our salesperson booked with 8 to 10 scheduled appointments per day, right? They've got, they're a hunter sales, so they're purely getting paper and they're done, right? You want them scheduled all day long, every 30 minutes with a 15-minute break and a little bit of wiggle room. So you got 8 to 12 calls that you could schedule. You might need 3, 4, 5 dedicated business development reps to fill that one salesperson's schedule. A lot of times we're seeing that with high dollar consulting firms and agencies where one of the principals actually does the sales, but they don't want to do any cold outreach. They don't have the time. They'll literally have multiple business development reps doing cold outreach to schedule their appointments and fill their schedule. So think about that. That's one really interesting thing, is that ratio and that balance, okay? Last thing, BDR options, and you might call them an SDR. So business development representative, sales development representative. What are the different options? So you can go local in-house. So recruit, and obviously we can recruit for you. We can source the talent local so that they come into the office, right? So that's one option. We can source remote talent that is working from home, their home office in the United States. Advantages there: more talent, more experience, easier to find the talent and experience you're looking for, lower costs typically because you have more leverage. But you don't have as much control of them because they're not in the office. So there's advantages to in office for sure. I'm in agreement with a lot of CEOs out there who really believe in putting as many people in office as possible for culture building and all the advantages that come with it, right? I don't need to dig into that today, but there are advantages to remote reps as well, and we have clients that do both. They have multiple business development reps. They bring some, they source local and have them come to the office, and then they have some they do, remote, right? So that's an option. And then of course, final option is remote in Latin America. So the talent, we recruit 48 countries in Latin America all the time. So we've got talent coming in for remote sales and business development all the time from Latin America. Talent is amazing. The kids are just outstanding. A lot of them have come to college in the United States. And then worked here for a while and then gone back home for the cost savings, or they got homesick. And obviously the compensation advantages are enormous, right? Because you're talking about base comps in the $1,000, $1,500 a month range, up to $2,000 maybe. Mexico's a little bit more expensive, closer to $2,000 typically there. But at the end of the day, huge cost savings versus reps in the United States. So you have all those options, and we can help you do that. If you want to look at our programs and offerings, check out our website, kevinmdowney.com. Hope this helped you today. Really appreciate you being here. Best of luck in business, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks.